Warm welcome. Thank you for joining us. So I'm inviting you, before we attune to spring, which is the topic for today, we are going to tune up our bodies first before we turn our awareness towards this energy that is spring, that is right on our doorstep. We experience the world through our bodies and through our minds, of course, as well, but the body is a more truthful gauge. It's a truth meter, and we can attune to all of our relationships, not the least of which are the cycles that happen year after year and that affect us profoundly, and that we can benefit from if we really learn to attune more deeply to what it is that each season is awakening in us, is developing in us. And so we're going to start, as always, by bringing our attention down. Probably most of us, our attention has been more up as we go through our morning or through our days. And so it's just this conscious effort, almost like riding an elevator down, 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 down to the lower half of the body. And notice for yourself how that instantly helps you to feel more here, more at home in your experience. So feeling the sensations related to body resting on ground. And using the exhale to help the body to descend, to give itself to gravity, to surrender to the holding that is here for it. And connecting to the inhale in such a way that it moves you into more and more awareness of your body. So as you inhale, you feel that stretch, not only in the rib cage, but also perhaps happening up in the shoulders and in the belly. And even there's a subtle ripple of connective tissue that is receiving that wave of breath. Eventually, we will be able to feel our breath in our toes. And so we park our awareness on the breath for a little while to stabilize and to consciously unhook from our usual preoccupation with the contents of the mind. And just gently and kindly bring yourself back when you find that you've been pulled back up into the thought stream. Remembering that this is a practice that we're doing together. And practice entails repetition, intention, simultaneous focus and gentleness. And by now, you're probably more connected to various sensations happening in the body in this moment, possibly related to the coming and going of the breath, but also perhaps now that you are here in the body, you're aware of certain tensions you might be holding. And as always, we make space for everything that courageously shows up to be seen and acknowledged. We meet that tension or any kind of discomfort with a kind of a hello. Welcome. And we see how our body responds to that attitude. We also notice the pleasant sensations that come in as we begin to take up residence in our body. A sense of fullness, a sense of feeling at home, perhaps a relaxation, a sense of flow, perhaps, and a harmony. And just noting that we have not made any of this happen through any efforts. We have simply become present with more of our experience. And as we come into the body and the realm of physical sensations, it's very natural for your system to begin to bring forth subtler sensations related to what we humans call emotions, feelings, stress. So they're not the gross sensations of the physical body, the more obvious ones, but they're there and they're known. They're familiar to us. That heaviness you feel somewhere, or maybe a swirling energy or contraction, a density, a tightness in a joint. And can we allow this generous awareness to also hold space for these parts of ourselves? And also joy or love, excitement, those emotions that we tend to see as more positive, those too are included and brought into awareness with greater, you could say, appreciation. What does joy feel like in my body? Where does it live? How does it express itself? In other words, to let it in deeper. Just take a moment here as well to acknowledge where your mind is at today. Has it settled fairly easily? Is it quite persistent in getting your attention? Are there particular story or thought grooves that are drawing it in? And so we just notice this while exercising our option of not engaging with them. So we let the mind do what the mind does. And we choose to open to a broader experience of ourselves that includes our body, our feelings, energies, emotions, our radiance, soul, spirit, however you experience that. So attuning means that we simply bring some part of our experience, something that we're in relationship with, into our awareness, and we connect to it with the whole of our being. And through that connection, through that relational field, there is an exchange of intelligence. Spring informs us, and we inform spring. So we can start off by simply dropping that word spring into our body as though it were a little pebble that we were dropping into a pond, and it's sort of making its way down. And just see where it naturally wants to land. Could go right down into the heart or into the belly, maybe higher. And so letting that word spring, which carries with it the energy of spring, drop into your body, and just noticing any ways in which your body gets activated. Are there certain areas that begin to come forward in your awareness? Are there areas of brightening? Are there areas of tension? And we try to let go of analysis. When we're attuning, we're keeping that relating fresh, meaning we're not referring to what we know about our relationship with spring in this case, and not even relating to what we know about what happens in the spring. This is more of an energetic, intuitive exploration. So, of course, the mind will want to come in with its ideas, but see if you can be more curious about just really staying present with the feeling that shows up in your body and just making space for that. You may notice a kind of a quickening happening, perhaps. And one thing I want to draw your attention to is that there will always be a combination of pleasant and unpleasant sensations when we are consciously relating. Relationships are meant to connect us with our light and also help us to free up, liberate those parts of us that are not reflective of our true nature. And as those begin to move, it can feel like, quote unquote, unpleasant sensations, areas of tension, contraction. But it's the very light of this natural rhythm of spring that is moving into our being and melting, you could say, just as what is happening outside our windows right now for most of us, melting anything that is ready to come to life. So now let's move on to something that may feel a little bit more concrete to you. Hopefully you've had the opportunity in recent days to be outside and to turn your face, if not your whole body, maybe even sit in the sun a little bit and absorb these warming rays. So I want you to call to mind that image, maybe of a recent time, and it could have been just through your window, sitting somewhere in your home where the sun was shining through and you could feel that delicious warmth of the sun. So just call that to mind, and as you do, you are attuning to your relationship with the sun. And even you may sort of feel the way the body responds to the warmth and the light of the sun. So let yourself really take that in with your body without mental add-ons, and allow yourself to absorb that light, that warmth. You can even imagine that light of the sun being directed to certain parts of your body that may need healing right now. Allow any sighs to come in. Good. Now I invite you to bring your attention to the soil beneath you. So beneath the home, the building that you're in, there is soil. And so to the best of your ability, just bring your attention down, down, down into the earth. And again, just from a sensory intuitive place, see if you can connect to soil in springtime. Maybe there's a sense of somehow this kind of waking up from a slumber, or just very slow kind of movement. And at the same time, there's this potency of so much that will spring forth very soon. So there's this kind of a latent potency that can be felt there, that we can also feel within ourselves. There's all kinds of latent potency inside of us that's ready, getting ready to spring forth. And so metaphorically, perhaps we are feeling the soil of our own being. And in springtime, as the leaves from the fall and all the things that have fallen from the trees and the dead grass begins to compost itself, to break down and to feed itself back into the soil. And perhaps that's something that happens for us as well. We let go of that which no longer serves us. and we allow it to transform in the soil of our being. And finally, I invite you to connect to bird song. So we've likely all heard familiar songs that have come back. And maybe even just remembering a recent time when you stepped out your door or when you're on a walk and you heard some pretty bird song. And just remembering that now. And as you remember, attuning to that, attuning to the energy behind that song. How those birds simply are unable to hold back. They sing with all their hearts. And perhaps when we listen to them with our whole being, it reminds us what it is to sing our soul song with all our hearts. Where do you feel bird song in your body? What does it open and what doors does it knock on? All right, my friends. So for the remaining minutes, I invite you to let go of this exploration and to simply rest as presence as you allow your nervous system, your body, your energy body to integrate our exploration and our discoveries today. right. Thanks, my friends.